I'll back up a tiny bit. After raising a family and working variously as a high school English, social studies, and art teacher for the past 30 years, she retired in the summer of 2023. In the fall of 2023, she served 5 weeks as the artist in residence at the Oregon Caves National Monument, writing poetry inspired by the monument and its history. Present and Speaking Everywhere is her first full-length collection. There it is. She's holding it up, and you can purchase it or you can find out where to purchase it in the chat. Welcome, Jennifer Rood.
Thank you very much. All right, it's a pleasure. Thank you, Dale, for inviting me in. I am thrilled to be here with Sue. I'm looking forward to the music and the poetry she's going to bring. This is my first time sharing poetry / art, kind of an intersection between the two, in a Zoom format. And so I am hoping this goes well. Let's see, I'm gonna hit my my timer just so I know where I am with time and I don't take up too much and I can pace myself a little. All right, so I am going to share screen and okay, let's do, okay, I am sharing the screen. I want to do the slideshow from the beginning. Okay, and here we are. So make this. All right. First, I'll just start out with a picture of the cover of the book that just came out in February, Present and Speaking Everywhere. It's a collection of a bunch of found poetry and art that I created during the pandemic and afterwards. I'm still working in that kind of intersection of text and image, and I've been doing more collage lately. But this is the compilation of some of my work. The cover is one of my pieces, and it just says, "Imagination is mind invested with playfulness, ready to discover." And I think a lot of the poems that I chose today are about being present and just open to what there is in front of you that's ready to see. And so let's go ahead and begin. I just want to say I have a couple of slides here just kind of about process, what this looks like, what this is. And on the left, you can see that I use a lot of newspaper. I also use books, but this was a piece that I did with my morning coffee there. And you can see, I forget what these are called. It's one of those little science things, that Newton's balls. I don't know if that's really really what you call that, but anyway, I typically find words in a text source and then I create image around it. And together they enhance each other to, I think to engage both sides of your brain, if that's really how brains work, right? We used to talk about left brain, right brain, but there's the text and there's the image, and this marries the two. So anyway, your words impact others. Is that, I also wanted to show you kind of how it comes to be. I found the words, "A culture of thinking has been in decline for decades," thought, well, what image goes with that? And what came to mind was a brain kind of just unraveling. And you can see how I find the words, and then I start to separate the words out from the rest of it. I pencil in a drawing, and then I add the pen and the color. And so I go through that process for all of the work. Some of the work is simpler. It's just simple blackout, right? I find the words and I black out everything that isn't what I want. And then the words emerge. And this one is just poetry is present and speaking everywhere. And that became the name of the book because that's really about that sentiment, that idea is really at the core of this found poetry art. Um, the idea that if you look, you can find it. There's beauty everywhere. There's a poem in everything. Naomi Shihab Nye has a poem about it's a Valentine for earnest man, and she talks about how you can find poems like in your shoes if you want to, and that this man could find a poem in a skunk's eyes. And I really love that poem. This is just my way of finding poetry everywhere. Okay, let's go to this. Um, Studies have shown the heart is important. Um, this was just out of a newspaper article on, in the health section. And it was, of course, about heart health. And what I liked, though, was this idea that um, what you what you're passionate about is important. And I drew an anatomical heart, but I like the play of this, right? Because of course studies are going to show the heart is important, but so it's almost a ridiculous statement, but when you read it, understanding that it's not really the anatomical heart that we're talking about, it's your passion, it has a different meaning. And I liked that pivot. This one's one of my favorite. It's just says, make sure to create. It may take some patience, but keep going. And any bit of art that you're going to do, unless it just flows right out of you, and we're not all lucky enough to have that happen all the time, it takes a little bit of patience. It takes quiet time. It takes waiting. It takes, well, just to do the blackout this way, it takes a lot of little circles with the pen. And it's a worthwhile pursuit, though, to sit with silence a lot of times and um, and just work through to where you're going to find something beautiful. Right? There's the paintbrush painting the beauty. Um, Intuition is the whispered suggestion of mind. Listen, listen, listen. This came from a book that I worked a lot in, and I just tried to find a poem on every page, or a thought that I could then also create an image for. And this fits in with the theme here that I'm working with tonight, and that is just that you have to listen. Sometimes it's you're listening to what's on the inside. I think mostly that's what you're doing with found poetry, is you're waiting to see what your own mind suggests. But there's an interplay between the text that you have and your mind, kind of like how I have a potter friend who talked about when he was sculpting that there was an interplay and that he was the creator of whatever vessel, pot, bowl, um, sculpture he was creating, but there was also the interplay of the material, and that's something that goes on with this kind of found poetry as well. Got to work with the text, but it's also revealing what's in your mind. I love this piece. I did this for a friend of mine who just was an inspiration. She's just dealt with, oh gosh, she's lost two husbands and a son, her house burnt down, and she just keeps bouncing back and moves through the world with such grace. Um, Kind and gentle and peaceful. Anyway, I did this for her birthday. It's just when I'm still, I touch peace. And if you look closely, I don't know if you have the ability to do it, and I don't think I can make this. Oh, I can. I can make it bigger. All right. Oh, the words that are here, that you can see that I've pulled out when I'm still, I touch peace. That's part of it. But what's also part of this piece are the words that have been kind of pushed to the back, right? Faded out, like narcissist is in there, hoarder is in there. Um, there's some words that um, show that what we deal with a lot of times, we can kind of move to the back like clouds, and we can find stillness, despite all the other stuff that's going on in the world. All right. Um, there's another little meditation piece. Present and open, embrace the moment today. So, meditating person there on a lotus flower in a field of blue. In the breath, in and out lies the key. And again, that blue is very peaceful to me. And there's a beauty there in the key. And um, anyway, I like this one too. Just doing the art. Once I've figured out the words, doing the rest of it is like a meditation, right? Just getting the color down, just drawing the pieces. That's wonderful for me. Outside is a lovely place to be, right? And this image was inspired by a trip that I took to Moab, Utah, a few years ago. There, outside, return to clarity. Listen, it's a theme, right? And try to be empty. Hear only the charged silence of a canyon floor. Once you are centered, there is a spark sometimes that you can catch. And um, when you are open, the questions then begin flowing through, and you are able to more easily find the things that you were hoping would just show up for you. They're more easy to see. So this one is just playing with this idea of questions. Wake up tomorrow just wondering. Question, 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 question. Invigorating, beautiful, maddening questions. Doesn't matter as long as the questions are coming. That is the point. And then you're on your way. Words I found in this one was his blue eyes smiled there on the road, gone to start a better life, gone to the ones who stayed. He claimed his ribbon of tomorrow. I don't know who he is. It's a person though who's taking a chance on leaving something behind and moving into something more exciting. And once you take off and you've got your questions, oh, sorry, my cat has decided to join us. And okay, there we go. Once you've got your questions and your curiosity and you're able to see things, you can take off for new worlds. Curiosity is good. Be eager to know more than you did. Then you are flying. I really loved how much I was able to get out of this. This is from a a 1900 something book called How to Keep Bees. So it's literally about honeybees, but metaphorically, it's about taking off into a new life. On the threshold of some pleasant afternoon, she lifts herself to see whether she truly can use her wings, then circles in great joy, goes out into the wide world, excited and delighted with her achievement, and plays her part, courageous as a queen at the height of her powers. It takes some courage to get out into the world, to do things your own way, but once you're there, it's beautiful, and you want other people to understand. This is from a poem by Anne Bradstreet, first American female poet. Um, oh, so happy, my days in tunes I'll spend. I'll sing joy. I will sing from the top bough and shall in chirping language tell you to fly. And here's a woman taking a leap, right? Literally flying. The goal isn't to be still, be willing to plunge in. Let's go further. And I'm coming to the end here of the visual portion, I suppose, of the poems that I was gonna show you slash read. This one is just a good wish, right? Once you've found your own bliss, you want it for other people. And so this is my wish. May you remain open and fill your life with joy. Last one, I think. And it's just because I love this. You can be the light for somebody. Um, and it doesn't take much to begin to push back darkness, however you define that. But one light begins, darkness dissipates. And you can see the words or the letters kind of dissipate with the darkness there or in the darkness. And I really enjoyed doing that one because I had to find the letters to make dissipates, but then that just supported the whole idea of what dissipate means. So kind of a concrete poem there. And I believe that is all that I decided um, to put in the PowerPoint. Um, thank you very much. I have tons, thank you. I have tons more images for any of you who use Instagram. I'll put my Instagram handle in the chat. I still have a few minutes. I'm at like 17 minutes now. I think what I would really like to do is read one regular poem, traditional poem. And in part, it's because I can't make it up to Salem for the Wallawa. I don't know how to say it, Wallawa reading that's coming up. But I have a poem in the latest journal, latest Wallawa journal. And if you haven't seen it, it's free online. It's wonderful, and it features this particular edition, this particular issue. It features this Washington poet who does torn found poetry, and there's like 10 of her pieces in it. And anyway, I think that would be a lovely adventure for you to do. And the poems are absolutely wonderful. Dale's in there. I'm not sure if some of the rest of you might be. But all right, so this is my Wallawa poem. And then I will hand it over to Sue. This is Desert Tableau, Fort Rock, Oregon. Spray of feathers, last flight flown. Bird no more. Rodent skull bleached to chalk with tiny teeth still sharp. No more gnawing, no more scurrying under sage and stone. half of a red fox, back leg broken under the ledge where it crawled to die, tail intact, white tipped, fur waving in the gray wind. Rain and wind scour rock, freeze and thaw, shatter, break, crumble, stone, pebble, sand, dust. Don't we all lay our bones down eventually, and not always gently? Like when I moved diagonally down that rocky slope to mitigate the steep angle of it, to keep myself upright, and my left foot slipped. Whirling around, I caught myself, but bent and touched the ground with both hands. It was a reminder. In a moment, a slip became a bow of reverence and recognition of the inevitable. In good time, we all slip, fall, return. Gravity has its way, and winter does its wild work. Thank you very much. And I will turn it back over to you, Dale.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was so wonderful. And we got to see artwork and we got to hear poetry and we feel revitalized. Yay. Thank you, Jennifer. I can see you were a wonderful teacher. Right there. Right there, it's proof.
Thank you, Dale.
I'd like to welcome Sue. How do you pronounce your middle name? Fagalde? Lick?
Fagalde.
Fagalde. Oh, thank you. Who lives in on the Oregon coast, has published 3 chapbooks: Gravel Road Ahead, The Widow at the Piano, and Blue Chip Stamp Guitar. Her first full-length collection, Dining al Fresco with My Dog, has just been published by Moonpath Press. When not writing, she plays music wherever people will listen, and hopefully we'll get to listen tonight. Welcome, Sue. And I will put you on, you're the star.
Oh,
There you are.
okay. Well, thank you for having me. This is a pleasure. And to Jennifer, those are fantastic. Really pleased that we got to see some of your work. And I got to buy that book because it's just something you could ponder over and over. I never expected to have so many books come out this year. In addition to 2 poetry books, I have 2 books of prose in 2024, and it's kind of mind-blowing. But we're going to stick to the poetry tonight. Blue Chip Stamp Guitar is about my lifelong love affair with the guitar and with music. And Sean at the Poetry Box did a lovely job as usual, and I appreciate all her support. So I'm going to read some poems from each of the 2 books. And yes, I will offer a little bit of music, but mostly poetry. Porch Concert. Wearing the mini dress I sewed in home ec, I paw through the music books at Campy's at the mall. Steeped in 716 magazine and bandstand, following the top 40 hits like a gambler follows the horses, I know every song on the radio. With the notes, I can sing and play them all by myself. I scan the tables of content, look at the songs, too high, too low, a little too Rolling Stone, greatest hits of the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, Simon and Garfunkel, the Beatles, Joan Baez, The Sound of Music, Oklahoma, My Fair Lady, the greatest hits of all time, every song. Lord, can I afford to buy them all? No, just one that I carry home in a slim paper sack, a bag full of 60s wonder. I can hardly wait. I take my guitar to the front porch where it's cooler on this midsummer day, sit cross-legged on the concrete and open my book. The pages are crisp and white. Every song is new. Some are not right, too high, too bubblegum sweet, but a few sound like fireworks on an ordinary night, like ice cream sundaes and kisses that make you swoon. Or so I imagine they might someday. Does anybody hear me? Hey, neighbors. Hey, mom. Hey, gardener working across the street. Did you hear me sing that incredible song? Even the fly on the page does not respond to this squeaky voiced kid with a cheap guitar. But I hear the crowd stunned into silence, then erupting in wild applause. I see my face on the cover of 16 magazine. All right. This one requires me to do two things at once, and that's not easy. So, can you hear the guitar? I think you can. First job. I knew two songs on classical guitar. Giuliani's number 15. And a sad piece by this dude named Caroli. Plus the usual beginner chords, C, F, G7, D, A, E. Not the flat chords, God forbid. I learned them in my bedroom from books. No lessons, no YouTube, not invented yet. Just strings and voice echoing off pink walls and hardwood floor, till my mother hollered, "Hush!" Wanting a job, a car, I walked down Stevens Creek Boulevard to the Sherman Clay Music Store. Do you need a guitar teacher? They already had one, of course, a chubby Mexican man who said, "Play me something." So I did. My Giuliani wowed him so much. He was a mariachi man. He hired me right away. Okay, it might have been my smile, my long shiny hair, or the shortness of my miniskirt. I didn't know enough to teach. The lessons always petered out. Soon I had no students left, so I cashiered at the shopping mall, earned my bachelor's degree, got a husband, and a new guitar. Years later, I saw the teacher playing with his mariachis at the fair. He'd forgotten who I was. I took his picture and moved on. I still played the same two songs, the only ones I know by heart, the only ones I need. Yes, thank you. Somehow life changed a lot over the years, but there's always a guitar. Actually, there's four now in this house. This one took place in Pacifica in 1981. I'm 28 going on 17, sitting cross-legged on the floor of my apartment, the furniture still at my parents' house. Against the wall, a sleeping bag. Marriage failed, I can't wait to claim my space, to lock the door, plug in my brand new Princess phone. Green shag carpet reeks of cats as I lean against the counter. Long hair and thick brown specs, skinny jeans, t-shirt tucked. On the counter, a box of Quaker oats, an avocado green tea kettle, a vodka box of Campbell's soups, log cabin syrup and pancake mix. My life still fits in a pickup truck. Clothes, sewing machine, books, typewriter in a baby blue case, paper with that wood pulp smell. Beside me, a blue chip stamped guitar, La Valenciana, fingertip dents on the first three frets. Nearby, a battery tape deck, fresh cassettes. I stare out the window at the fog shredding to reveal hints of blue. Scrabble in my purse for a pen. Write the date on a clean white page. Many years passed. This took place shortly after my 65th birthday. And life was not the same when I lost my roadie. And sometimes doing a gig is hard. Anyway, last charity garden tour. I'm already sweating as I load the car. Two guitars, amplifier, microphones, guitar stand, music stand, chords, so freaking many tangled chords, sheet music in a Safeway bag. The talent should not be doing this, but my roadie husband has left the old life on Earth music show. I drive up to the ticket stand, give my name. Wonderful, they say, and wave me in. Now the unloading begins. Two guitars, amplifier, microphones, guitar stand, music stand, chords, so freaking many tangled chords, music in a ragged canvas bag. My stage is on the balcony, looking down at old ladies in big hats who admire the posies while raising money for the homeless at garden number 7, while I'm up here with the hoses and the bags of special mulch, feeling like hired help. I hang the sign with my name, set up, plug in, tune up, and send my songs to float like yellow-winged butterflies, from straw hat to baseball cap, to sup from the geraniums and tickle the fern fronds. Sun burns my bare arms, 6 steel strings dig in, deepening my calluses. I stop only when a man says, "You need to move your car." No one sees me leave the stage or applauds when I return. Burned up, burned out, sunburned. Claiming a union break, I slip through the empty house to examine the bathroom decor and pet the lonely Pomeranian. My voice down to a rasp, I'm doing instrumentals now. It hurts to touch the strings. Sometimes far below, a hand offers me a thumbs up sign or toasts me with Pinot Gris. Finally, thank God it's time. As I unplug, unhook, pile up, footsteps rock the stairs. "Oh, you're not quitting yet." "Ma'am, I'm not the radio." 2 guitars, amplifier, microphones, guitar stand, music stand, chords, so many tangled freaking chords. Tuner tucked into the grocery bag. 1 load, 2 loads, oh my feet. "That was lovely, thank you. Beautiful voice, come again. I hope you had a good time. See you next year?" "Sure." All right. Those were all from a Blue Chip Stamp Guitar, and I will put the link again in the chat in a little bit. But now we're moving on to poems from Dining Al Fresco with My Dog. You hear me talk about Annie a lot in these, and that was my dog. She passed away in September, but she helped me make the cover, and and yeah, it's been fun. It's about life alone out here in the crazy woods on the Oregon coast. So still life. Imagine you're looking in from my window. I'm sitting at my front room window right now, but imagine you're on the other side looking in. Still life. Nicked up guitar leans against the piano, which needs tuning, but it plays all right, if you don't mind a few sour notes. It's silent now, books on the bench, fireplace lit at 8 a.m., too dim to read notes. The woman's fingers too stiff this early in the day. On the sofa, still in her robe, dog warming her hips, she recites her prayers for the dead and still alive. No one sits on the love seat or at the table behind her, where the one pink placemat has a red tomato sauce stain. Outside, dim as twilight, rain pounds the hydrangeas, fireweed fluff scatters, mushrooms bloom. Water. Kneading. This is KNEAD, that kind of kneading. Radio blasting news. She stands at the sink, massaging woolite into her red sweater as the water turns pink. Her hands knead wool as if it were dough for homemade bread that she will eat warm, dripping with butter. Or his stiff shoulders. Her fingers rub, squeeze, flatten, and fold, working in circles, pushing hard, harder as he moans. But this is just a sweater, rinsing away the soap. She lifts it out, heavy, dripping on her feet. Her old fingers ache. Ah, Blackjack. There he is again, the old man whose hands break my heart, stiff and wrinkled like my dad's. We're nearing the end of our walk, but he smiles. Annie speeds up, pulls me along. He waits for us. "Good boy," he says, patting her head. She dog smiles, wags her tail. "You're a good dog, yes you are." Finally, he looks up at me. "Lived here long?" 22 years. "Well, I was one of the first. Name's Johnson." Big Spruce, he calls this place. He lives up past the iron gate. Now in the middle of Birch Street, leaning on his hand-carved cane, he pets my old girl and talks about the dog he used to have. Got him up in Depot Bay. One day this doe came running up. Are you mean? I asked. Some are, you know. He answered with a big old sloppy kiss, sat down like he belonged. His owner said, "Want to buy him?" I said, "Yeah." He talks like my father used to do, words gushing out, same blue eyes, begging me to listen. I push away thoughts of hospital beds, oxygen masks, Dad's thin voice pleading, "Let me die." Mr. Johnson here is still alive. He rubs my dog's white snout. Oh, Blackjack was good, about this size, best friend ever had. His back gave out and I had to put him down. He stares. A dove coos somewhere near, wind sighs. A white pickup passes, spreading diesel fumes. "Well, I'm on my daily walk, up and down this street," he says. "Us too. Guess we'd better go." "I love you, boy," he tells my girl. Tears streaming down my face, I watch him watch us trot away. Mr. Johnson has passed too now, alas. Okay, this was the original title of my book, and then Lana from Moonpath said, "Nope, I think we want something else." So we changed it. But this poem is called Bully Wind. When I heard you were coming, I put away the patio chairs, strapped down the garbage can, locked the doors, and hid. But there's no getting away from you, you who come roaring in the night, pushing down gates, ripping the tops off roses and early daffodils. A rogue with no respect, you bend and dip the spruce and pines. Those that won't dance, you break, flinging their branches across the yard. You toy with the shingles on my roof, paw at the windows, shake the doors, rip down the wires, snuff the lights. You leave me cold and in the dark. You're not my first, you bully wind. You're just cold air. I've been through worse. He smashed my windows, broke my walls. He made me bend and twist and dip. Enough. Go ahead, you fickle wind. What you break, I'll build again. Knock me down, I'll get back up. This little piece of earth is mine. Thank you. We're getting toward the end, aren't we? Okay. There's all kinds of critters around here, but this is one of the smaller ones that I see the most often. Spider takes a bubble bath. Naked and nearsighted, I step into the tub, lower my bare bottom toward the steaming water. 2 moons suspended so close they feel the bubbles popping. A fat black spider scurries sideways toward my hand. I let go of the bathtub ledge and crash, splash, bang my sit bones, create a wave so big it sends the soap surfing onto the floor, soaks the pink bath mat, turns the room into a tiny spider swimming pool. The blurry black arachnid hits a strand of water, slides down the tile, lands on a soap bubble, rides it like a lily pad toward my bare, bulbous, bubble-covered knee. I jump out of the tub onto the sloshing bath mat. As I reach for a towel, the spider climbs out, refreshed, shakes itself, walks straight up the wall and out the open window to dry off in the sun. Yeah, I try not to kill spiders. Actually, if they mind their own business, I'll mind mine, and if they get too close, I take them outside. Okay, this is the last poem I'm going to read, and then there'll be a song. This is called Poppies. When the gardeners came, they murdered my poppies, seeing them as weeds to be eradicated by the blade that edged the lawn and tore away the ivy considered an evil invasive plant. I liked my poppies, grateful for every orange flower that volunteered to grow where roses and azaleas wouldn't take. Ancestry.com says my people were poppies too. Maria from Baja raised 13 kids and ended up, old as I am now, working as a maid, scrubbing floors, a poppy in an orchid house. Anna, widowed young, cleaned the church, cut cots, took charity to feed her 7 Portuguese-speaking kids. They cut the wild blackberries too, as if I weren't planning to bake blackberry crumble, muffins, pie, and coffee cake, not too proud to compete with the robins to pick my share, even from a branch lying on the ground. Louisa tended the bread in the wood-fired stove, tossed grain to the chickens, collected eggs. fired her shotgun to scare the crows away, while Paulina made schnitzel and apple pie, her apron stained and wearing thin. With their chainsaws, they trimmed the alder tree, cut back the laurels, the Sitka spruce. They mowed away the dandelions and clover with the lawn as I watched, mourning from the kitchen sink, my flowers lying lifeless as they blew the autumn leaves away. Mary from the Azores lost her fisherman. Wed a man who worked in a Gloucester cotton mill. Their son, a foreman at a California cannery, married Anna's daughter, Anne. From them came my mother, Elaine, and from her came me. The gardeners drive away. Silence. On dirt-stained shoes, I venture out to survey the damage. Berries down, raw edges of amputated pines. But one poppy still waves gaily in the wind. Here, surrounded by my mother trees, robins feeding on the crew-cut lawn, I write the story that ends with me, the last puppy, wide open to the sun, last poppy, wide open to the sun, blackberry crumble, almost done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue.
I have a song.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yay,
Okay.
song.
I know. It's somehow when I combine the two, I get especially nervous. It's crazy.
No, you shouldn't. You're lovely.
Well, and I write a lot more poems than songs these days. They're two different kinds of energy. They really are, for anybody who's done the two. And someday I'd like to teach a class or something on the differences because they are different. It has to be singable to start with, you know. So this is called All We Have in Common is the Blues. You sit alone at a foretop. I'm solo at my table too. You sit and lean toward me asking, could I share a meal with you? I usually don't talk to strangers, but I'm tired of eating alone. I think we have something in common. The person who loved us is gone. You could fill that empty space. You have a pleasing face. Maybe we would get along. The future, who can say? All we have in common is loneliness. All we have in common is the blues. Scrolling. This is silly. I asked for soup and salad. You order the Reuben and fries. Some small talk and then we fall silent. You brush off the tears in your eyes. I reach across and squeeze your hand. How long since you've been touched? I know this could never be the same. We're likely to always go Dutch, 'cause all we have in common is loneliness. All we have in common is the blues. It's nice to sit here together, just like a couple of friends. Could I have one of your French fries? How about we do this again? You could fill that empty space. You have a pleasing face. Maybe we would get along. The future, who can say? All we have in common is loneliness. All we have in common is the blues. All we have in common is loneliness. All we have in common is the blues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Thanks.
Well, our readers and artists and musicians tonight were incredible. Thank you very much. It's time for our open mic.
Yay.
And if you'd like to read, put the little, under reactions, there's a hand. You can raise your hand. And I think everybody here probably has poetry to read. So I'm very excited to hear it. And I'll just go around the room and everyone is welcome to read. And even if you don't raise your hand, I'm going to nag you.
That's
You know I do that. Because I figure you've just forgotten to raise your hand. So Dan was first. Dan Liebertson, you're on.
Unmuting now. Well, a Mother's Day poem would be more appropriate, but this, given the calendar time, but this is a poem about my father. Sue read a poem about her father, so follows on nicely. Dad eats a hard-boiled egg. He cradles it with fingers egg cup shaped, admires it for a long moment, pale blue eyes struggling for focus behind thick lenses, turns it carefully counterclockwise, gazing at its seemingly uniform surface as though he can see difference there, snowy mountains and fertile valleys, in this, the only egg left in the world. He starts to crack it, turning and rapping deftly on the table edge, as did his father. Appraising the web of cracks, he nods and disrobes the egg, studiously peeling it naked, stroking clean of shell shards the smooth, uncovered skin with thick, tobacco-stained fingers, careful not to blemish the white sheen. Lips parted, tongue touching their curves, breathing slow and shallow, he appreciates the promise of a small pleasure cherished through hungry years on the Lower East Side, of which he said, the only blessing was learning to enjoy the simplest things. Dad's blunt fingers grasp the hexagonal salt shaker with its dented metal head, and his right hand lifts it to the left. A startlingly sharp tongue snakes out as he bows his head to lick the left hand, holding the egg in its fist at the cleft between the thumb and the index finger. He shakes an exact amount of salt onto the wet spot, as if ending a ritual dance, pauses to admire the unspoiled surface with a solemn and expectant gaze, and intones, all work is sacred, even menial labor, and the reward for a job well done is to eat with peace in your heart, knowing you are entitled. Dad sighs, lightly smacks his lips, raises his hand to lick the salt, and then bites through the wall of paradise, clear to the yellow sun within. Such a joyous light spills from his eyes that even though he's decades gone, it warms me still.
Thank you, Dad. Dad,
You're welcome.
it reminded me of
Thank
my dad, the way he would eat an
thank you.
egg, very carefully.
Oh,
And it made me hungry too. Haven't eaten yet. Peter, would you like to read next?
Sure, I am happy to read. So you all heard at the beginning that I took this cruise around the British Isles. And we stopped in Dover, and I thought it would be a great idea to read Matthew Arnold's poem, Dover Beach, on Dover Beach. And this is how it turned out. The title is Reading Dover Beach on Dover Beach. I see French coast gleam across the channel under rare blue sky. White cliffs tower behind, straight, high, flat top. Taste salt tang on tongue. Underfoot, rocks sea tides flung from ocean lie. Slowly pull paper from pocket with poem printed months ago, so eager to experience inspiration that made Arnold compose his greatest work. Deep breath, open mouth. Northeast wind violently shoves words back into throat. Hat tumbles towards cliffs. Sea spray slaps face, covers glasses with foam. Should have memorized words, I think, before next gust whirls paper and poem high into sky, out to sea. Couldn't see stanzas anyway, with glasses obscured. Eyes tear up, not from frustration, but from unrelenting wind. Channel waves surge over rocks, soak shoes, an ignorant army attacking. If only I had not dressed like a 19th century literary critic, armored only by tweed jacket, trousers, wellies, and hat still fleeing towards cliff. Makes one wonder if this was actually Arnold's experience, romanticized while he wrote in a cozy pub, sipped whiskey by roaring fire, wiping tears from eyes, foam from glasses, slosh across rocky shore to retrieve hat caught in crevice. Resolved to read poems inside in future? Head for the White Horse Pub to write the truth.
Thank you, Peter. I guess I should push the button that says no more sharing the screen.
I'm sorry, I did that and I did it. I don't know how to use it.
It's okay, Paula. And
I didn't mean to.
that's fine. And I know you want to read, so you don't have to keep searching for that raised hand. I will ask you to read eventually.
No problem. No problem.
Okay. Carrie, would you like to read?
I do. All right. My poem has an epigraph. I'll read after I read the title. Title is Repose Along the Willamette, or Willamette. Weep and you weep alone. Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Pale pink from white petals drifted off bowed branches of the weeping cherry tree. The lying man, layered in dirt and apathy, quiet among them. Softness settled delicate upon his forehead, unwashed hair, calloused feet exposed. A baptismal reminder that he has recognized each petal. A procession of goslings came as witness, waddling away from mother and river. Nature knows a noteworthy anointing. Surrounded by the downy feathered and petals, he smiled as if he knew he wasn't dreaming. I witnessed this natural blessing from a bench posted in cement. I was washed, rested, blushing with envy, the color of petals. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. That was fun. Vivian, would you like to read?
Yes, thank you so much, Dale. Thank you for hosting, and thank you to the wonderful poets, Sue and Jennifer. I really enjoyed both of you this evening. Like Jennifer, I unfortunately will be unable to attend the Willowa reading on Thursday, so I'll just read the poem that is being published in the current edition. It's called I Told the Rain, after Tarfia Faizula's I Told the Water. I told the rain, you're wise, to fall upon rich and poor alike. Told it, your sleek silvery lines streak the sky, caress our faces, if only we'd look up. You only exist because of our thirst, we think. But beneath your touch, we are all one. The first time I was soaked to the skin, I peeled off my clothes and stood under your sheath, your sluice, your flow. My flesh became fish, holding its shape in your cool embrace. I knew then how love was possible, the urge to be subsumed within the steady pulse of the beloved. I knew then we'd search all our lives to find your likeness. You silver-haired ensign, you flag of pearl, of gray, of argent. Thanks.
Lovely. It's so beautiful. Louise, would you like to read? And who's your little friend there? We have to be introduced.
This is Chico. He's a rescue Havanese. He's one of 53 that were taken from a breeder who became a hoarder about a year and a half ago. And he spent his first 4 years, he's supposed to be a lap dog, but he spent his first 4 years outdoors in a dog run with a bunch of other little guys like him. So we've been going through training, and he's just recently decided that he's going to start telling me he wants attention and get up in my lap. So I don't discourage him, because he's finally deciding maybe he really is going to be a house dog, so so I'm going to put him down, though.
He's very silky, very silky little dog.
All right, there you go. You go back to bed. Okay, I'm going to read a poem from my book, What Hummingbirds Do, that's coming out this summer, from Finishing Line. And it's Willowa, yes. And I will be reading them too. This one's called Butterfly Effect, and it was first published in Cosmos. Butterfly Effect. Next September, find a view above an Appalachian gap, the place where a ridge of rolling mountaintops declines into a break, hillsides dipping and rising on either side of a narrow trail made by paws and moccasins and boots. Stand in the cold before sunrise, where in the sad shadow of those hills, the leafy tops of oak and poplar, ash and walnut seem feathered gray and beige in misty air below, and wait. Wait for the sun's first gold to strike that canopy, transform the mist into a thin vapor, and warm the pale feathers into orange opening wings. 100, then 1,000 glowing spots fanning out into an auburn blanket over every branch, above the dew-soaked slopes, dark green rhododendron tangles. Stand struck as those new-lit wings begin to rise in twos and threes, more and more bright sparks flickering into the blue until they become silhouettes and gather into a cloud that vanishes off into southern sky. If 1 billion fewer monarchs traverse the air's invisible road today than 20 years ago, what difference can it make? Scientists say the flutter of just one butterfly's wings can change the weather days from now. They do not know a way to calculate what that change will be among the million possibilities. They call their study chaos theory. While volcanic ash covers farms in the Pacific and firestorms roar across the Australian bush, those mathematicians leave us here without a cause that can be named, to stand on high on that ridge, transfixed by glowing flames as they ascend into the sun.
Such a good poem about such a sad topic. Susie, would you like to read?
Sure. Okay. Um, let's see. This one is, I took a class recently on Diane Seuss's book, Frank's Sonnets, and this was my own attempt at a sonnet, a kind of a Seussian sonnet, I would say. YMCA Camp 1963, although she did not title any of her sonnets. So, what did my parents know of Jesus Camp? Born again and evangelical, not yet part of our vernacular. So there we were, my sister and I, we were Jewish, our swimming suits damp from Lake Tippecanoe. My friend Lucy, a Baha'i, and I sat together on split log benches, whispered God for Jesus, praising his glory, watched morning steam rise from the water lapping the rowboats. At the camp store, I pretended not to see the licorice babies called a name I'd never heard before, but knew was wrong. One day, my older sister found me after crafts. She was fuming. The night before, after dark, the girls in her cabin almost sent her to hell, but relented. Her lack of baptism was reason to send her, but it wasn't her fault. Or was it? I was lucky my cabin hadn't thought of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Quite Susian.
Mhm.
I think there's a word, yeah, unsusian. That's a different topic.
It's Susian anyway.
Yes, it was very soothing. Nancy, would you like to read?
Sure. Jennifer and Sue have represented teaching and music. So after I read this poem, there will be a brief quiz. My poem is entitled Valediction on an Unfinished Fugue. How then, friends, shall the old wig go forth? In triumph with trumpets ascending, or just passing serenely into light again? How thus to finish a lifetime of bending unruly lines into shape, crunching them together at the top of the slope till the soul cries out and they go bounding off again? I cannot complain. It would have been far worse having to leave behind too soon in the game all those notes. My beloved tormentors curled up in their cubby holes, waiting to be called out again for yet another adventure. And yet was I never their master. I only stood before them to the world, knowing myself what they said and knowing it fell mostly on ears attuned to another fashion. I just tried my best, that's all. I had a job to do, always deadlines, disasters, unimaginative employers, trumpeters with lips ballooned up from tavern scuffles, and sopranos who turned into creaking men overnight. And always puttering with those phrases till they slid gently into place and the world stilled for a moment its headlong rush. I groped for the hand to guide me, I know not where, and pray that silence not be waiting for me there. The quiz is, who is the speaker? Any ideas?
It's a very teachery question.
Are you going to tell us, please?
It's, I'll give you the answer. It's Johann Sebastian Bach. Thank you very much.
I was going to say Beethoven. So.
Oh.
You were close.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Barry, would you like to read?
Thank you, Dale. I live in Ashland, Oregon, Southern Oregon, just a few miles south of Jennifer. And if any of you are going to be in Ashland on July 15th, Jennifer and I will be doing a reading at 7 o'clock at Bloomsbury Books together. She'll be obviously reading from her recently published book, and I'll be reading from my book that just came out from Finishing Line Press this month called Structures. And they're all structured poems. So I'll read one of the Shakespearean style sonnets that's in the book. I enjoy the challenge of trying to write those. You hiked up a snowy mountain. You hiked up a snowy mount, excuse me. You hiked up a rocky, snowy mountain, stopping to pause at a tall, cairn-like shape. Water flowing like a welcome fountain over green, mossy rocks, an opaque drape of misty memories, a guiding light, bent by thin air and a tender, sweet scent, while gently remaining out of my sight, as your love was always silently meant, climbing higher towards the nearby crest, slipping slightly on the treacherous trail, seeking freedom in nature's peaceful rest, knowing passion is never meant for the frail. You arrive early at a barren butte, having found a lovely flirtatious root. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you. Norma, would you like to read? Norma, you're muted, so we need to hear you.
I need to go get my poem. And Sue, I would like to see the cover of your book. You held it up and I didn't see it. And someone else did that. What's on it? Oh, okay.
Sue, pull it back from your screen so we can
Yes.
see the title. There you go.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's a table.
And you said
set
your
up
dog
right-
helped you, your dog helped you do that.
Yes,
I get it.
supervised.
I really loved the exploration of putting poetry with everything else. It's just all one, which is wonderful. And I'm looking for my poem. It's a political poem, and I'm hoping it can have some adventures before the election. And here it comes. I think, oh dear. Is there someone else who can go before me?
Paula, do you have a poem to read? Would you like to read? Because Norma's looking for her poem. Paula, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. Would you like to read?
Okay. Okay. I wasn't quite sure what to read. I don't have anything new because all I've been thinking about has been since October, has been what's been going on since October, and we all know what that is. And when something happens politically, I'm unable to even write anything, poetry or fiction or anything about it usually until
months later. So this one is a poem that I wrote after 9/11. The Tel Aviv cats, calico, starved, skinny sides collapsing over old bone, scared mostly. I saw them in the scrawnier streets, fur short as the brown grass, bald toward autumn, by the small hotel, 3 floors, plus a 4th with no air conditioning except the wind. The sea down the Blanc, in those days, it was 72, a penthouse above the rest of the hotel. But I was young then, and the other clients, like the grouchy owner, an old guy with his Ergun clock, crept old, poor as the neighborhood, with the weary Arab market, the old hotel I stayed in. Only the 3 floors and the penthouse above, 4 floors. 3 years later, my local Berkeley paper headlined, "Raiders struck a small hotel in Tel Aviv, 3 floors or 4, run by an Irgun fighter, half a block from the sea, and everyone was killed." The raiders, hostages, everyone. Yesterday, my brother was late. His train to Manhattan delayed. He didn't get to work on time. He's all right. His wife said he was not there yet. You'll understand. Turn on your television. In the garden, while they die, beside my house, the soft, sweet, long-haired calico cat I really cannot stand slinks, silent, through thick grass, eyes wide, mesmerized by the black crow's soar. A wasp stops at each azalea stamen, branch after wet branch, on the soggy bush, hypnotized by it. In the evening vigil, whoever needs to witnesses. Who has brought cakes, oranges, purple grapes, and olives from the courtyard that we may break bread again. We were so hopeful.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Paula. Norma, did you find your poem?
Yes. I
Okay,
did. Yes,
you're
I did.
on.
Okay. Wait a minute. I want to make it so big so I can read it. Okay. And I said this is a political poem which I'm hoping to get out before the election. It's called Old Woman's Warning. How does old woman speak delicately about these matters to her under 80 friends? Or is it required? In her new home, where almost all of us are up there, the code word is bathroom, meaning so much to so many. Its absence fearsome, consequences irreversible, paraphernalia mandatory, a change of clothes and a shower not available except in the dependable comfort of home. All else is a risk. Birthday parties, weddings, foot and baseball games, political candidate rallies. Incidentally, the only 2 candidates for president who will manage America will undoubtedly need bathrooming at unexpected times and places. Old woman estimates the time required for cleanup 1/2 to 2 or 3 hours. Perhaps a good deal more for presidents. Surely they will be followed by portable potties, newly designed with showers, closets, dressing rooms, containing fashionable blue suits with new red and blue ties. Afterward, they will be virtually altered to look like themselves on TV. Excuse me. Bathroom is a word her computer thinks is a misspelled noun. Old woman declares it henceforth as a necessary verb.
Oh, Norma, you're getting it out there.
I'm going to get it out there. I have to get
You're
it
getting it out there.
Oh, good.
Sue would like to read again.
I know some people are greedy. Norma, you are my hero.
Thank you.
While we were reading, the box of my fourth book this year arrived. So here it is.
Oh, congratulations.
No way
Yay.
out of this. It's a memoir. Thank you.
What's at the
Hi.
bottom?
My name.
A
It's
You hold it too close, Sue. There you go.
okay.
Oh,
It's just the title
okay.
and my name.
Yeah.
Yeah. No way out of this. Loving a partner with Alzheimer's. Whew. So I just want to share my Aurora Borealis poem, which is only 3 stanzas. And then I will stop hogging the screen. But this has been a hell of a week. God says, you're welcome. When the phone rings so late, I flinch. Who's dead or dying this time? But it's my young neighbor shouting, come outside, watch the northern lights. Here, I say, I'm on my way. It seems fitting on this night, the night I got the news, when normal became my favorite word, and cancer was just the name of an astrological sign. We stand in our PJs looking up, taking pictures with our phones of undulating pinks and greens washed across the blue-black sky. We count our blessings on the stars. Thank you.
Thank you for hugging the screen. You were lovely. And so was your poem. Stan, would you like to read?
Yes. I was recently inspired by a quote from a man named Abraham Joel Mistel. His mother called him Zero because she thought he wouldn't amount to anything, but I beg to differ. The quote is, freedom in a country is proportional to its volume of laughter. That was the inspiration. This is the picture I got from that inspiration. And this is the poem. Just told myself a joke, one I hadn't heard before. Brought a smile and a laugh. How lucky I am, I thought, that I can still enjoy myself, even when nobody else does. Just took myself out for a meal. Told the waiter that same joke. He hadn't heard it before. How lucky I am, I thought. Others still find me charming, even when I thought no one would. Food and wine and dessert were great. Maybe it's not too late, I thought. Start all over again, in a jocular vein, telling jokes no one's heard before. Standing room only, in packed clubs, always leaving them still laughing. That's it.
I wrote a sonnet too, and it's very short. It's not Susian, I don't think. And it doesn't rhyme either. So that's okay. Green Flight. Consider devotion a hope for a sweeter tomorrow. Just now leaves begin to burst from twiggy winter, not far enough to rustle yet, but a frizz of pale green. When the wind blows, buds only dream of making the sound of ocean waves bashing the shore. Baby leaves peek out, persistent as butterflies emerging from cocoons. With each gentle push, they prepare to take flight. It brings to mind the way vampires rise from brittle wooden coffins, How do they find the energy to survive? Year after year, it's the same story. Thrust out, batter about, blush, wither, droop, and drop. Leaves materialize optimistic, singing, "We will be beautiful, brave, and useful." I'm wondering about those leaves. How do they do that? And everybody, if you want to unmute yourselves, thank you so much again to our lovely readers. You were both incredible. And all our open mic readers were, yay! So good, so good.
Thank you
Thank you
all.
all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, readers, and thank you, Dale, for hosting this. It's always great to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Peter.
It is great to be back with everyone. Take care. Hope I can see you in the next few weeks sometime.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Nice.
Great session. Good night, everyone.
Night,
Good
Good
Dan.
night. Nice
Night.
to see you again, Dan.
Bye-bye.
Yes, nice to see y'all.
Yeah. All
All
right.
y'all.
All y'all people.
All
Mhm.
y'alls.
Mhm.
Adios.
Bye, Sue. Bye, Dale. Thank you so
Bye.
much for inviting me into
You,
this.
you were
Too.
both fantastic. Thank you so much.
It was
I
a
Thank
really
pleasure.
you.
appreciate your work.
Thanks.